440-3234. Supporters may also donate to the Cut Deep platform and the issues it supports through our ATH mobile 440-3234, through checks or cash. Donations will be kept confidential, and you can send words of encouragement, comments, leads, and of course your social concerns. We say thank you to our donors thus far this season, and thank you to our host location for your continued support. Thank you to our viewing audience for joining us weekly, and supporters for watching and sharing our content. Cut Deep airs every Tuesday, 8 p.m. live via Facebook, YouTube, and 90.9. Tonight, Kiaya is sitting in with me, as I mentioned, and we're going to chop it up and get some perspectives on some of the issues that are relevant right in this, let's say this week, or the past 2 weeks. So we'll take a short break and we'll come right back with the action. And I have my friend Kiaya, my friend and colleague. Kiaya here with me tonight. We're gonna chop up some of the issues. Kiaya, it's so good to have you back. You were the opening number for episode 1 of this new season of Cut Deep. You had me on the hot seat. Tonight I don't have you on the hot seat though. We're just gonna have a conversation. And I thank you for sitting in.
No
Since
problem.
my guest kind of had to skip out. He didn't skip out. He kind of, so I don't want to say who this guest is. I'm really keeping it close to my chest. I'm keeping a lot of my guests close to my chest because you know how it works. You put it out too early and then they're convinced to not come on the show. So not that I think that they can convince this person, but you never know. So he was on vacation, he came back, and so he kind of needed to make some adjustments. So that was reshuffled. So I thank you.
No
for at the last minute coming in, because I didn't want to like say, oh, we're gonna be back next week again. So thank you for being here, and thank you guys for tuning in. Kiaya,
Yes,
there are a few things going on in the BVI, and one of them, this isn't, it kind of is. This one like affects across the world. It's mostly our young people. And when I was driving here, I was thinking, what do I want to chat with Kiaya about? Because in terms of this, I think that thin line that I talk about when it comes to women empowerment and women pride or lack thereof, I think you're going to bring a different perspective. So I want to have that conversation with you. I don't know if you saw, there was this incident in Turks and Caicos on Saturday night. So I spoke about it on the morning show on Monday because I was like, what is really happening with women? And it's a subject that I have tried to be kind of cautious about addressing because we can get really ticklish these days. And we tend to be like, you know, oh, you're calling down women, or, you know, it's women empowerment for women to be able to choose and do whatever they want, right? So in Turks on Saturday night, they had a show. 450 was there.
Okay.
Right? I mean, I don't know him, but 450 was there. And you know how they have women come up on stage to dance, etc. So a woman was on, a young lady came up on the stage, and, you know, she had on her dress and she didn't have on any panties. No, I don't have a problem with not wearing panties. That's not the issue.
Absolutely not.
I tell you, this is gonna go left at some point tonight, but I'm gonna try my best. right? But so that wasn't my problem. The thing was, like, so she was bending over and she was dancing and whining, and her dress flew up, and she was butt naked, and she was whining on 450, and he pulled away right away, and he walked off. So he was walking in this direction, so you could see the reaction in his face, and it was one of disgust, right? What was even more crazy to me is that she pulled her dress down and she kept going. Now, I was really offended as a woman, and I was kind of hurt for her as a young woman. And like I said, it seemed to me like she didn't even really care. She just pulled it down and kept going. I see a lot of how women present themselves on social media these days. A lot of the videos that's going on, like hidden in Twitter, ex-Twitter. And I'll tell you, Kiaya, I've tried to not say anything about it because I've seen the conversation happen, and I see it go left real quick on social media. And young women will jump up and they start talking about, oh, it's women empowerment. Why would you call her a woman? Blah blah blah. Not seeing that from another position. Why are you degrading your body like that? Why do you feel okay to, if you're not wearing a panty, that is comfortable for you to go up on a stage and expose yourself like that, especially in this era where it's all about everybody's recording. And from the angle that the video was shared, you didn't see, but I could tell you those who were taken from facing her back probably recorded everything. So I wanted to get your take on this trend, this pattern that's setting in with our young women. And I'm not even talking about dress per se, I'm speaking about our behavior.
Okay.
I want to get your take on it, and how do we address it without being offensive or offending, the younger generation. And kind of like, you're smiling already. I want to drink some water and let you start to reason.
Well, number one, the second time I met my husband, I was in a split in a short brown skirt, dancing to Juvenile. I'm from Louisiana, so Juvenile's from Louisiana. And I was in Florida, and that's the second time I met him. The first time I met him, I was fully dressed. The second time I met him, I was fully dressed. But this particular night, I was at a house party in a split on the floor, in a split.
Okay. But you can split and nobody can see anything.
In an itty-bitty dress.
But you can split.
Miss Love, that's for people with no curves. When you have curves and a small waist like me,
I don't know what she means.
I got plenty to see. So I brought that up because...
So you started this whole trend?
No, but I brought that up because while I had morals and values, I had ways that I came up, there are still things that I stand firm on. Like I'm not a loose person. I'm never going to be loose. I believe in courting. If we don't know what courting is, I don't know which camera we're on. If we don't know what courting is, that means spending some time getting to know someone.
Courting.
Yes, I believe in courtships. I still do. But there was a lot of things I didn't know. And I find that, you said, what's the solution?
No, not the solution, but how do we address? How do we get a conversation going with our young women that doesn't offend
Can I tell you how
or push
I
them
have the
away
conversation?
or
I have these
appear
conversations all
offensive
the time.
or yeah.
I have these conversations all the time. Just last week, I had a conversation with a young lady, and this is what I gave her to do. I said, write down what you would like. A 15-year-old, write down what you would like. I don't call them men, and a boyfriend,
right?
And somebody you have an interest in. Write down your standard. And they wrote down their standard. And I had a male counterpart, my husband, ask me, why did I have them write that down? And I said, because I want them to think about what their standard is, because I'm not going to tell you what your standard is. So I think the first thing we can do is to address it, is to remember, I don't know who you were, I know who I was. You know, but these are not things I knew. It's what I saw. It's what I saw that worked to get a guy's attention.
Right.
We don't tell our young people.
So are you going from the perspective of, you know, the way they're conducting themselves, maybe try something different because of you would like to have a boyfriend or a decent husband one day? Or is it just, do we want to speak about it from the perspective of just you as a woman and what empowers a woman and what empowerment of women look like, you know, and just having the freedom to do that? Is that empowerment? Do we look at it as empowerment? And what is the behavior? Like, why do you think that that's empowering to you, type of thing? And are you doing that for you? Is it pleasing to you, or are you actually doing it for a man?
Cindy, there's a lot of things that young women don't know.
I realize that.
Those conversations are not happening. So that's what I like to do. That's what I felt comfortable doing. That is all I knew, because I'm from Louisiana, where we pop.
Okay.
It's not twerking, it's popping. A little different. Well, it may be called twerking now, but it's just
Everything
a pop.
is called twerking
It's
now,
a
yes.
pee-pop. Have you heard the term pee-popping?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I grew up doing. That's what we did in the state of Louisiana. That's what you do to what the type of music that we had. We pee-pop. That's what I grew up doing, popping. So that's what my environment was. I mean, while I grew up in church, outside of church, I was popping, you know? So again, I didn't have that female counterpart to tell me to stop popping.
Say, Mom.
But
No.
it was all biblical.
Okay.
It was like, just
Oh, so
beat
don't-
me
yeah.
in the head with the Bible.
Okay.
Yeah, that didn't work. That didn't work. I needed somebody who can understand what it is that I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and then slowly change the trajectory of my path, instead of just trying to do this. You have to know who it is that you're dealing with. A lot of the young women, and I deal with a lot of them. Some of my young women that I initially dealt with are in their mid to late 20s now. And these are all VI girls right here on Tortola. So I first became a listening ear. I didn't judge. I didn't have an opinion. I just listened. We talked. And sometimes when I didn't agree, I just smiled. Because I said, now is not the time to really correct this. There is something else that needs to be corrected first. Now, for me personally, honestly, it took a guy for me to realize that that's not the
It's
standard.
cool down a bit.
Yeah, don't do that. Like, we don't even like, it's cool to look at, but we don't really want that. It took my husband, actually, is where I learned that.
Right.
And there are so many things that we just don't know. Like, that's why I said, we're doing it for a lot of reasons. I'm doing it, number one, because you're a female and you're watching me and I just want to show you up.
Right.
And honestly, a lot of things that a lot of females do have nothing to do with men. They have to do with competing against another
woman?
female.
Really?
And if you believe in yourself enough, I don't need to compete with you. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to do what I'm not going to do. And if I happen to be pee-popping or whatever, it's what I want to do. I'm not doing it for you, or I'm not doing it to get anybody's attention. This is what I need to, this is what I chose to do. And if I choose to do that, I need to be in a place, it needs to be in a place of sincerity. Not about you, not about him, not about the crowd. This is what I want to do.
How do we reach the younger generation?
Conversations. A lot of them. Conversations, understanding, experience, knowing that it's not going to happen in one conversation.
Right.
Think of toddlers. Let's even think about when they're learning to walk or even potty training. It's repetitive, repetition. And this is what I've learned as a mother of 4. With the first one, I was like, Lord have mercy, about the, it's like, I remember I took him to get his ears checked because I was like, maybe he can't hear. No, that's not it. It's repetition.
Right.
And as they grow and as they develop, I told a young lady today, when your frontal lobe is developed, this would make sense to you. And they kind of laughed. And they were like, you always say that. When I said, yes, because what I'm telling you right now does not make sense. But when your frontal lobe develops, it will make sense to you. It's not going to make sense to you now. You're a teenager. You don't even want this to make sense. But at some point, it will. And we just have
What about when their frontal lobes develop? Like this young lady up on the stage.
Who was talking
at
to
maybe
her
27
before?
or 30?
Who was talking to her up until the age of 22, 23, 24?
I don't know.
Exactly.
But I don't even really know how, but I understand what you're saying.
Say for instance, if I was speaking to your daughter, I'd be there all the time, talking, leading, guiding. Oh, Father God,
so
what do we do?
What do we do about those young ladies that don't have the exposure to that? And we have a lot because parents are busy now. And I can't bring in myself, and I'm not going to bring you in. 80% of, I think, mothers are so busy, they don't really get the chance to sit with their girls the way they want to. One of the things that we were, considering or talking about on the morning show was other organizations that were still around active. What happened before, specifically in the BV. I know you didn't grow up here, but you probably had some of the same organizations in Louisiana, whether it's be Girl Guides, we had Pathfinders, we did a lot of Bible schools, vacation Bible schools, and so there was kind of a lot of help for mothers, families. Even if you weren't a working mom, you still have the support of the community in terms of raising your children, etc. We have gone a ways from that. And even those mother figures, that would have, maybe encircled younger mothers, you don't have that anymore because everybody is busy and everybody is working. I think these young women are falling through the cracks.
So those mother figures, where are they now?
Dead.
Exactly.
Right.
And wait.
We didn't continue.
One more question. Why didn't we continue though?
Because we got busy.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Why did we get busy?
We do now?
Why did we get busy?
Running the mighty dollar, making sure that. No, I agree with you, but I mean.
Cindy, the harsh reality of it is we can't reach everybody.
No, but this is a small community.
We can't reach everybody. Number one, there are not enough people to manage these NPOs without pay. We don't have a strong retiree community.
Right.
That's who typically retirees and wealthy, typically women, stay-at-home moms. Whose husband is making all the dough, and you're just a stay-at-home mom, and you have time.
They have the time, yeah.
We don't have these two things.
Right.
So what do you have? People who are burnt out trying to give additional time until they've just burnt out and they don't have any more to give, and I quit. Never mind.
Do we not have those people, or is it, and this is gonna go like in a different direction again, or is it that our society is not fully integrated?
Define integrated.
Integrated. There are women that come here to live with their husbands. They're stay-at-home moms. But you find that maybe they have one or two friends that they probably cling to, or they have their little cliques. So that's what I mean when I say integrated, right? And women like that, they serve a really, they could be there, be a part of the community, but I don't know if, like, they feel welcomed enough. That's what I'm talking about, an integrated society, and I'm going to say a society that's not divided, because we have a lot of that too. So we do, in fact, have quite a number of stay-at-home moms.
The stay-at-home moms are helping what groups?
I'm just saying. I wasn't breaking them down in any.
But can you name some groups that they're...
I don't know. I just know that there are stay-at-home moms.
Let me speak to
and
me
maybe
then.
Right, and maybe because they may not feel comfortable, or to maybe step up there.
I can't speak to them. I can only speak
Right.
to me. Number one, no matter where I worked, when my children need me, I'm there. I don't really give a flip-flop what you say. A lot of people don't have that mindset. Like, I don't really care what you say. I don't care what you have to say. I'm going.
But you have a little more strength than a lot of people.
Well, let's start there
Right?
then.
Because another mother would be like, oh God, if I leave, I'm gonna lose my job. And then if I lose my job, I really can't do anything for my child. We apologize.
Was that a sneeze?
But we did love that laugh.
You just have to decide as a mother and as a father as well, because my husband's like that as well. He drops what he's doing. If I can't go, he goes. If one of us are always going to be there, if not both. But I know personally, in all the let me see, I worked let's just say I worked 10 years here of the 19 years. April 4th was my anniversary. 19 years of living here. In the 19 years that I've lived in here, let's say half, which is right at 10 years. And all of those 10 years, I work for someone. And when I worked for someone, I just decided what my priorities are. Number one, I had two priorities. I don't care if I'm in a meeting. If my husband calls, I'm answering. Excuse me, and I go out. I don't really give a flip-flop what's going on. My husband called, that's my priority. Number two, if my children's schools call, I'm excusing myself. If they need me, I have to go. My children need me. If they have events, you know how like I schedule my days? If they have something going on, my work is scheduled around whatever it is that they have to go on. And you said that strength. Well, that's my mindset. And it starts with a mindset that this is what I'm going to do. And confidence, Cindy, it gets you far. I don't know why people didn't say anything. I don't know why. It's just they may have should amongst themselves.
Yeah.
But no one has ever written me up. No one has ever said anything to me about it or any of that. But number one, Cindy, I work extra, I work over, and I do what I gotta do.
Right.
Number one. And I am the type to remind you, I worked till 7 yesterday.
Right.
And I am the type to remind you, I often work to da-da-da-da every single day, but I don't hear you. I'm the type to say that.
You like those, those bubblehead cartoons that's going around. So that's like you.
Yes!
That's you.
I'm Veronica.
That's you.
I'm Veronica.
That's you. Well, I did work yesterday and blah, blah. Yes, I see that's you. Okay.
I'm Veronica. I'm the one that's going to say, well, if you want me to work extra, how much?
And when I see
that's going to cost you so and so and so and
when
so.
I see her, I do think about you. I'm like, that's Kiaya for sure.
Have you seen the live Veronica? It's actually a person. They stole all her content, but
okay.
I'm Veronica.
Okay.
I was Veronica long before Veronica was Veronica.
Right. Yeah.
And so, I would say, did you see what time I left? Now, I have had junior staff say things. And although I'm a more senior person, I will let you know, yes, but when you're gone, I'm still here. And when I go home, I still have work to do. So I think that accounts for something. Like I remember I shifted my hours because my children walk to school at 8:30.
Right.
I'm not leaving my house before my children go to school. Ain't happening.
Right.
So I'll be at work at 9.
I do. Yeah.
Good. Good for you.
I'm just saying that
But
I
this
have to
was
sometimes.
This was primary school. I'm not doing that.
Right. Okay.
I'm not doing that. Primary school, I'm not doing that.
Right.
So I
Right.
shifted my hours.
Right.
I would show up to work at 9. And I've had people in organizations try to have a 9 o'clock meeting. No. I can meet you at 9:30. Well, can't you come earlier? No. Well, why you don't come to work earlier? Because my children are not at school yet. When they go to school, I'll come to work. Because again, that was important to me. Now you may wonder, how did I get like this? Well, every place that I worked in corporate America had some form of flex time.
Right.
When I worked at Lockheed Martin, they didn't care what hours you work your 40 hours. So I remember I used to go to work at like 3:30 and 4 o'clock in the morning. And then I'm done. I would work through lunch. I would bring like a fruit bowl and just work through lunch and just sit there and work. And midday, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, I'm done. I leave.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a little different in the BVI.
It is.
You know,
but,
they're very like.
I came with my ways, and that really ruffled a lot of people. But I have children, and my children are important to me. And unfortunately, the resources, like you said earlier, they don't exist.
Yeah.
So I'm so thankful that Department of Youth and Sports now has an after-school program. But I remember for many, many years, I used to ask, where are the after-school programs? Therefore, you don't have any? Gotta go get my children for 3:30. If you want people, if we want to see a better society, we all have to band together. Government, non-government, and community. Everybody has to band together. You know what else I am? I call myself, I'm the community mom. If I'm coming to town and your child needs to come to town, I pick up all the children. Everybody just hop in.
Can I call you tomorrow?
Is your child in Kindergarten Bay?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Because I will be coming to town. But, you know, people will be like, I don't want to inconvenience you. And I'm like, I have to pick up my children. They have to come to town.
But Kiaya, most people can't, 99% of people cannot be like you. And I think people, you know, sometimes, and not even.
You mean have the freedom?
Yeah, depending on their career
because
path.
I work for myself?
No. Not even that. Yeah, some don't have the strength to set that standard. We're going to be honest. And the truth is, depending on your level of employment, you can't try that.
Well, Cindy,
you are going to be relieved of your job.
I had a conversation with a local woman. And you know what she told me? She doesn't have anyone that she can rely on to help her with her children. And I just found that odd.
Really?
I found it odd. I found it very, very odd. Like, no one? No. No one. No.
She's from here?
Yes. And I asked why not. And they said because if I ask them, then it's all throughout the community that I need their help and I wasn't this and I didn't this and I keep asking this. So I just don't ask anymore. And I kind of was like, well, that's the problem because you should be able to ask.
Yeah.
You should be able to ask your auntie, your uncle, your cousin, your god thingy. We had one of our godchildren father asked me like from last week if we could keep his son. I'm not going to be there, but I went to my daughter and my husband. Hey, such and such wants to know if such and such can come because they need coverage. He's going to be in London. Wife is going to be so and so. Grandmother's going to be so and so. But we're godparents, and they're like part of our responsibility.
It's supposed to be.
And my daughter and my husband were like, yeah, sure, not a problem. And I just let them, yeah, sure, not a problem.
So we're falling apart socially. So all of these issues are creeping in and we can't get a
We don't support
grip
each
of
other.
them. We don't support each other.
I have a friend that's not from here. She has zero family from here. And I met her because she was my service provider. And just to know that she doesn't have any family, it's just her and her daughter. Well, I became her family just because, no other reason. And I just told her, well, I'm your family. And what did that mean? Every single day I picked her child up from school because she couldn't get away from work. Every single day. And I drop the child off where I'm supposed to drop the child off. Sometimes I kept the child. If we get something to eat, the child goes home fed.
Yeah.
Every single day. And I picked her up first because her school let out. She went to a private school. Her school let out first. I picked her up, and then I picked up my children. Every single day. And I don't know if that's because I know what it feels like not to have a family here, you know, outside of my husband and my children. Like, I don't have my relatives here. So I know what that feels like, to be here and kind of be alone. My family have become my children's godparents, like really and truly. That's who I've come to depend on. That's who I've come to call. That's who, if Rick and I want to get away, that's where the children stay. Things like that. But I know what that feels like. That's what's missing. We need some more community moms. We need, I saw a young girl in the airport when I was coming back on, when did I come back? Yesterday. And she, another lady from here was sitting next to me. We were just chatted. And this young girl walks up and she just stands there and I'm chatting and I see this lady look up. So I see her look up. So I looked up and I'm like, oh, hi, hon. A girl I went to school with my son.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I didn't necessarily recognize her immediately, but after looking at her face and it's like, oh, hi, so-and-so and so-and-so. She gave, you know, these children remember me because I'm everybody's mom. That's what's missing.
Yeah.
That one carpools. That one mother or group of mothers or group of parents who can just be there for a group. That's what's missing.
Yeah. I would say that I don't think I have any energy to be. I just don't think I have the energy to be a community mom. But can my children's friends come around me? Yes. Can they stay by our house? Yes. I mean, last festival, I had like 10 or 12, you know, teenagers in my house for probably 5 days. And most of them were boys, and so you know what that means. But so I could do that. I could, if you need help with something, I could do that. But like to do the carpool, I kind of raise my children.
It's not about carpools, though.
No, I'm just saying.
That was community parenting, though.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if I have the energy to like do it. If I had to do it like now and again, I could. I raised my children to be very independent. Very independent from like zero. And one of those reasons was really because I didn't want to kill anybody. So I kind of raised them because children go through a lot, you know. Children go through a lot. So I didn't want to have to deal with that. So I raised my children to be very independent. And like my children will argue a lot, but they dare not get into a fight, especially if I'm not at home. So that's how I like balance out my life. I have to raise them to be independent, and I can't do my life around my children. I fit them in my life, and they learn my life. Especially like being an activist in journalism, that's new for me. I'm events and marketing, so my life is fast paced. So they'll tell you from like zero, they've been going to events or having to be dragged around with me, because you know what it takes to do events and stuff like that. So I had to raise them like that. But I've always kind of been an independent mother worker too, flexible work time, etc. Most of my adult life has been working for myself. I think kind of like you. Or, yeah. So what I'm saying is like, and you're probably right, it's about community. More women. What about the guys stepping up for the guys, for the boys? Or it doesn't matter? Sex doesn't matter. Community mom is a community mom.
Community mom is a community mom. I'm mom to all. And remember, I didn't say that I went out of my way to do anything. I just followed my normal schedule. My children go to this school. Your children go to this school. They need to go to town. I take them to town. Monday, Wednesdays is so and so. Tuesday and Thursday is so and so. I'm going to town. My children are going to track. Your children need to go to track. I'll take them all to track. It's nothing extraordinary. The only thing is, like, I remember there was one mom. I think she was Mondays and no, she was Tuesdays and Thursdays. These were not track days, but these were days where they had other things in town, dance and
Right.
things like that. And it was like, I'll meet you at the gas station, pick up the child, and I go on to dance. Why? Because I felt that mom needed help. Why? Because that mom was late a lot of times. And I said, you know, I don't want the child left, so I'll take them. Another mom, I don't know how the child would get to town for track and for the after school things they had, but it's not, it's not me going out of my way.
Yeah.
It fits my routine. And if we can just find a little way to let things fit our normal routine, maybe that's the issue. We don't have routines. I have routines. Not you.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm just routine.
like, my routines are not strict. So my routines can't be strict. If I have to fit in some of that stuff, I could, but I'm just saying, like, fit
Well,
me
your
in
kids
somewhere
are a lot
else.
bigger now as
and
well.
I have a lot of nieces and nephews. So I raised a lot of children. From very young, I had a lot of children because I have 4 older brothers, right? And one of them in particular, he's a lot of children because he was just a bad boy. But I had a lot of nieces and nephews, a lot. So and then, you know, other family members, like, I grew up around a lot of children. And I just feel like, you know, even if I see a brand new baby, nothing moves about. Like, you know how people would say, oh, my womb just moved? Like,
brand new babies, no.
Yeah. Meaning, you know, I
get what you're saying.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm at a stage where, you know, the next time I really want to, like, deal with children is I'm saving my energy for my grandchildren. And I give my children an age range on that too, as to when they can start having children. You were supposed to laugh. But I did. I literally did. But that wasn't just about making me a grandmother too early. That was about the responsibility of a child and what that would mean, you know. So
think about something,
kind of be ready for that.
You said you had a house full of boys for how many days?
Maybe 5. It could have been more.
Okay, for a week.
4.
Let's just say for a week.
Yeah.
You had a house full of boys, somebody else's children.
Yeah. It was like 10 boys and 2 girls.
Cindy, look at it like this. You didn't do what I do. Although I would often have a house full of somebody's children. I think at one point there were 8 girls. Drove Rick mad, but girls are just as rambunctious as boys. But
you know the easier thing with girls? Well, I hope boys eat like hell.
No, girls eat.
So, okay.
A lot. A lot. Eat you out of house and home. But hear me out. While I may be able to chauffeur or carpool or whatever we want to call it, you were able to give some parent a break.
For 5 days.
So what I'm saying is, whatever your capacity is, let that be your capacity.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's nothing extra.
I can do what I can do, but like to actively become a community. Maybe I am a community mom. I don't know. Let me just leave it.
When
alone.
I say community mom, like if I see a child in my community like headed, and I recognize the child.
Yeah.
There's a girl that runs track. I don't know her name. She's not part of our track club, but I recognize her from the track. And sometimes I see her walking on the stretch after Soldier Hill. Is that Ross?
Like King Garden Bay?
So there's Joe's. Is that Ross Path? Anyway, the long road between King Garden Bay and say Chowell.
Okay, I don't know what it's called.
Some stretch of road. I would see her walking, and I pick her up. There's another little boy that lives in Ballast Bay, and sometimes I just recognize him. Well, I'm going to the track anyway, but I just recognize them from the track, so I pick them up because #track mom, and I just pick them up. because I recognize them. When it comes to children, sometimes I don't pick up strangers. I don't give strangers ride. Shoot me, whatever. I'm not doing it. But if a stranger has a child,
You pick up.
oh yes, absolutely yes.
So you can get killed like that. I mean, it is what it is. Okay, so
It's just whatever your capacity is, except a lot of us haven't realized what our capacity is. Like, you didn't even recognize that you probably did, but it didn't sound like you recognized that you were helping because somebody got free. And
no,
I'll tell
I know
you,
that. I know that
we've
because
been
when
eating
my
freedom.
children are gone, it's like, ooh, they're gone.
Yeah.
So I recognize that, but I'm just saying like it. I don't think it will be a frequent thing for me. As a matter of fact, my children are of a age anyways. If their friends come over,
You don't see them.
yeah, I'm not bothered with them.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, go make some food for your friends, take care of your friends, just all of that. Just at the end of the day, then, you know, I have a heavier load of maybe washing, etc., etc. But I'm like, do your part,
even with
but-
little ones though, Cindy, I remember like when my older two were younger, and say a third of, even a fourth child comes over. I have this one friend, hi Sprinkles, who says my house is the daycare because it's always full of children. But even when the older ones were smaller, I used to say I don't have to babysit because I have other children there.
yeah,
And I don't see the children.
Yeah.
Like, they're with my other children.
Yeah.
They're there.
Yeah.
They're safe. They're in a safe environment.
Yeah.
I have to cook. Well, I have to cook anyway. Like, I remember I had one mom tell me she didn't want to put me out because I have to cook for her child. I'm like, but I have to cook for mine too. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Right.
Though? These are things that I normally have to do anyway. I'm not cooking less. I'm not cooking more. I'm just cooking.
well, Kiara, maybe we do need more people like you. You're kind of like the old moms, you know, that would. And my mom used to say things like she's child poison, because my mom used to really. My mom raised the community.
Okay. What does
Period.
child poison mean?
Too much children.
Okay.
I had enough. She'd say that, and I think like I had enough. So I kind of, it's like I'm not moved. Like I would, like I said, I would do what I had to do, but I don't know that I have the energy and capacity to have too many children around me. Well, maybe younger children at teenage age. If you're independent, I don't need anybody like resting on me, adding on me. You know, like needy. I just don't have the capacity to do it. And my children were never like whiners and criers. Like you see children throw fits in the place, and
Even that,
I mean,
Cindy,
so
even that.
I flip out quick.
I don't always like to have babies, especially if they can't sit up. I normally wait till they're a little older, although sometimes I do have the babies. But even that, Cindy, you know what ends up happening? In our house, they're not like that. Why? From the first time we said, this is what we
You set your boundaries.
We don't do
You
that.
stick- yeah.
And they automatically know when I go to Auntie's house, I'm not going to
different.
do that.
Yeah.
I mean, when mommy comes, they go right back, because, which actually it's been proven that that's just what happens.
Well, yeah.
Children are the
Yes.
worst when their mothers are around.
Yes.
But
Poor mummies.
but your mom is there. She'll deal with you. You know.
Yeah.
They don't do that because even if they're not independent, I create an independent child in them. For instance, I remember I had a 4-year-old and she wasn't bathing herself. And I went and sat on the side of the jacuzzi and I was like, take a bath. Okay, this is what you do. Take your rag. Because I'm like, I'm not doing this every night. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
I haven't had a 4-year-old in a while. And even my 4-year-old, when my children were 4, they could bathe themselves. I'm not doing it. And I just taught her how to do it. And then after that, it just became, go take a bath. Because I think she was with me for a little while. I was like, go take a bath.
She could do her thing.
I run her water. She go do her thing. And I left her alone. So I would teach you. I remember there was, he had to be like 5 or 6 back in the day, came over. And my son was a little younger, but when he was over, I would have to, and then when it's like, I'm not dressing you. if my little boy can dress himself, you can dress yourself. And it was like, put on your pants. So these are things that I have curated over years of having children, from the oldest down to the youngest. And
So what would you do now, like on summer breaks? What can you do to expound on this fabulosity?
On summer breaks?
Yes, because I think one of the things that's happening, and I like to praise YEP because I tell people, I think people misjudge YEP, but YEP is free. And the number...
That's why they misjudge it.
And I think they misjudge it too because it's in East End. And even me, I had some prejudices. You know how my children ended up in YEP? Because when we moved home, after maybe 6 months or so, they went to Willow Wheatley School and they learned about the program. And, you know, Emily in specific would come home. She's like, I want to join YEP. And I'm like, I'm thinking about it. And that's kind of the way I would let them, like, just chill. I'm thinking about it, but I'm not really, because in my mind, you're not going, right? She signed up herself. And she Emily, she signed up, her and her brother. And it's from then they've been with Stacy Mata, right? And he'd send the forms home. Well, the other children are signed up, just sign, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, right? But I think she was probably 5, right? She signed them up. But YEP is a free program, right? And it offers a lot. A lot of programs in the BVI over the summers, it's not free. It's very expensive. So parents can't afford to send their children. So children end up stranded over the summer. And it's not that they're stranded, but your parents leave you home alone and anything can happen.
Sometimes, like over the Easter break, this child goes to private school. So, you know, they had a different schedule than public school. And I knew my little boy was going to go sailing, but there was no sailing on Monday. And I just told the mother, they can come over. And she was like, thank you. Because she was going to work from home. And then she had a meeting that she couldn't do remotely. And she was trying... all I did was message her because I'm like, oh yeah, this is something I would normally do. Hey, there's nothing on Monday. And she has a boy and a girl. If you want them to come over, they can come over and hang with my children. Right. The 2 boys were in school together, and they were in the same class, and the girls they were all in the same school, so they know each other. They've known each other for a few years, and I just said, hey, you know, I'm home on Monday. I mean, I do have to go to the gym, but I'll drag them with me. The 4 of them went to the gym with me, sat in the aerobics room on their devices while I worked out, and then we left. And I just told her, if you don't have a problem with me dragging them to the gym with me in the morning, I don't have any meetings or anything like that. I'm just going to come back home and work. They can come over. And I'm so glad because I was trying to figure out what I was going to do because I couldn't work home. So I do things like that. Now I can tell you on the summertime, if they're not going to be in a program, because I work from home, it's really hard to have extras that are not independent. These children happen to be, you know, very independent children, so, you know, I don't have to do a lot of frou-frou with them, but the summertimes can be a little different, but again, my summertimes kind of slow down as well.
Right. Most businesses.
Yeah, the summertimes kind of slow down as well to where I have a lot more free days because, like, I take all of August off. Well, I don't take it off. I never take days off, but I just take my work with me. Yeah. But I don't have a lot of meetings. I don't have a lot of work. And if I do have a meeting, everybody just adjusts around. Like when we were away in Grenada, I had one meeting one morning, and everybody just adjusted. I set it really early at 9 o'clock, which means in an hour we'll be done. We can go to the waterfalls and all of that. Right. But I'm very, very strategic with my time, even when I'm on a vacation or a break or anything like that. And so when it comes to like having the children over, then there are some neighborhood children who come over. But again, my children are older now. They're like 8 and 9, the children that are coming over. So they go outside and play basketball. They go ride bikes.
And you have no problem with that. All right.
They play soccer.
Yeah. On that, we're going to take a quick break and come right back. Welcome back. It's a new season of Cut Deep. It's a new episode. I have Kiaya with me tonight. We're sitting in and we're just chit-chatting. We're chopping up some things. We went up on a bit long on that, but we want to go back to it, and because we want to really address the issue of women empowerment as opposed to lack of pride in our women, and kind of how we address the issue of women getting offended depending on how you speak to them in terms of this trend that's being set. I don't even want to say America is a trend setter, but probably it is. Probably it is in terms of the modern woman. I want to say the modern woman doesn't see what they're doing as risque and vulgar. I'm going to use the word vulgar. They don't see it as that.
I don't like that word.
Why?
Because when I was young, my mom used that word and I hated it.
You hate it because your mom used it, or do you think
vulgar.
It's offensive in some kind of way?
I guess the word itself is it means the worst of the worst to me. And I wasn't being vulgar.
Well, I'm not saying you. Getting up on the stage and showing your butt, that is absolutely
Cindy,
so vulgar.
I would have done that at a young age when I was figuring out who I was.
Okay, wait. Let's.
I told you Rick met me on the floor.
Wait, how old were you?
In my early 20s. Let me not say that. Let me see. I was 18.
Well, that is young.
I think by the time
I had a wild streak. And I think I had a wild streak because my parents were so strict.
Yes.
Right? But my wild streak did not last long.
Mine didn't last long.
This girl on the stage, I think she was probably close to 30. That's vulgar behavior.
Cindy,
I'm going to classify it as that.
I'm not going to classify it as that because, number one, individually, an individual has to set their own individual standards, number one. I think what my job is if to at least try to show you a different way, but also accept you at where you are. And if accepting you means I gotta watch you for
I'm not going to let you play on words.
That's okay.
I'm not going to let you play on words. That's not what I'm saying. I said I think what she did was vulgar. Right. That doesn't mean that I don't accept her where she is and I can't have a conversation with her there. But
well, I didn't see it, so I can either deny nor.
Can I find it for you?
At some point, not right now. We're live in front of camera.
No problem.
But I mean, I'm picturing it. You said she was bent over. And sorry, I have a very vivid imagination because when people talk, I see pictures automatically. So I don't see words. And you know, there's some psychologist stuff with that, but I don't see words. I see pictures. So when you told me, I literally saw her. And then when you said from the camera angle you were at, you didn't see anything but the people behind her.
No, you saw.
So immediately I turned her, and then I saw her, and I was like, "Ooh, are those lips?" I literally did. And I was like,
I tell you that she just goes left quick.
It's not left. Everything is taboo these days.
So you understand what I'm saying. So there are women. That's why I say I think it would be interesting to have this conversation with you because you'll see it, and I think from a different perspective. And sometimes you would try to justify in terms of when you start with the I'll meet her where she is, blah, 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 blah.
Because that's what you have to do, Cindy. Yeah. I can't meet her any other way because she's going to reject me.
Do you think at 30?
I have tried. 30, 40, 50, 60. I have tried to meet him any other way.
I fail to believe that at that age she thought that was okay.
Whether she did or not, Cindy, I'm not going to not say it's okay or is okay. I'm going to decide if I want to be in her life or not. That's what I decide.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Well, I wasn't deciding the fact that she did that I wasn't going to be in her life.
I don't know how old she is.
And embrace her or whatever. I'm just saying I'm trying to, in my mind, really understand if she thought that that was okay.
Let me tell you from experience, Cindy.
And she might think it was okay because she didn't know better.
Let me tell you from
It's
experience.
very possible.
You're dealing with, say, let me just really streamline it. You're dealing with three females, three teenage girls. This one is in a relationship with the boy. They doing all kind of stuff. I gotta talk to her at that level. I gotta tell my mind. I can't tell her. I've done this. I can't tell you not to do it. You're already doing it. What I can tell you is to be safe and why I think you shouldn't do this. All right? I got one who wants to.
Do you see that behavior as in a form of woman empowerment? Because quite a few of them see it as that. And if you speak about it,
freedom.
Is it really?
It is. It is. You know why? Again, you said you had, was that on camera or off camera? Your rebellious streak, was that on camera?
Just now.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, you're not even older than me. What is you need?
Listen, we talk about so much.
Like we did that like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, but we also had a beautiful conversation off camera, and it could have been during that time too, because that's when some real stuff was exposed. But, what was the question? I forgot. You said about your rebellious streak. I know when I went through my rebellious streak, I got tatted, I got pierced. I didn't sex a lot. I could tell you that. I didn't want to be used up. But I danced. I let all my African pride come out. Which, even that, I keep wanting to point this out. I saw these African women dancing, and if you didn't know better, using a word that you use, you would consider it vulgar. So this is what I told.
Well, there's also culture.
This is what I told.
Is it our culture to go up on a stage naked?
On, Cindy. No. This is what I told a young lady. I said, you see that? She says, yes. I said, the problem I have is we do that and we don't know why. We don't know. And they were doing the same thing that we do. And it was mesmerizing. And I'm a female. It was like, and I know we do that. I know that a woman's body is mesmerizing. I know that. When it does this, look, it's like trance, right? And so I told the young lady, I said, you know, the beautiful thing about that is over on this side of the world where we don't know our roots, we do that. I said, the sad thing about it is we don't know why we do it. Cindy, we have to remember that what's in our DNA is things from years, centuries ago. So it's in us to dance a certain way. And I will not deny that. Now,
I don't
do
either.
we know what this means? Heck to the freak, no. We don't. We don't know what it means. We don't know why we like to gyrate like this. I don't know why a song came on earlier and I was over here and I was about to lift my hand and I was like, dang, I'm on camera, because we had just come back from commercial break when the song was playing. And I was like, you gotta be kidding. You would play this song now because I am having a hard time sitting still.
Yeah.
I want to whine in this seat.
Oh,
I really do. Right? And I had to compose myself and remember that I'm on camera. I don't know if the people on camera can hear the music, but the music was nice. Well, there are things that we don't know about ourselves. And I would encourage anyone to go and learn those things about themselves. But we were talking about rebellion. A lot of times, again, if you don't approach it at a certain angle, they're going to reject you. And honestly, like you and I did, they're probably going to do worse. And they're going to find themselves, perhaps or not, in a worse or not situation for a longer period of time. I don't know. I didn't see it. I don't know it, but I've seen 60-year-olds do that. And I honestly think it's beautiful that at 60, not naked, but I remember I saw this TikTok of this lady. She sounds Jamaican. The music she listens to is Jamaican. Jamaican culture, and she really has a Jamaican accent. She has silver hair, and she's well over 60. And what she says is, people think I shouldn't do this. And it's just like, well, let them think it. To me, that's empowerment. Now, was she gyrating half naked? No, but she did have on a crop top. And while the front of her abs were a little loose, you could tell she's had children, she still had her obliques, which tells me that under the children's stomach, she has a beautiful shape, you know. And I think she had on, I think, some loose fitting jean pants, but nevertheless, she had a waist
and I'm good
like
with that.
nothing else.
I'm good with
and
that.
she's doing this on camera. But see, in my culture, my mother would call that vulgar. And I thought it was beautiful at 60-something years old. Now, why is this young lady, I mean, of course, we don't know her age. You think perhaps she may be in her upper 20s. I don't know. Why is she naked? Well, let me not use the word naked. Without panties on, with her skirt up in front of a man that she doesn't know. That does say a lot. That does say a lot of what she thinks about herself, her level of insecurity, and the level of self-esteem, and the level of confidence that she has.
But what I'm saying to you, it seems to her behavior seems to be a trend with our young women and our young girls.
Our young women and our young girls do not know who they are.
Okay.
And again,
and like you said, then we need to get to work.
They don't have enough women in their lives, different women. I'll tell you, if one of my children look like they may want to hang with you, Cindy, I think so-and-so want to hang with you. Tell them stuff I may not tell them. Because I'm definitely going to tell your children some stuff you may not have told them.
Like
because
what?
Children...
Oh my God, I'm scared. I'm just joking.
Because you know, I'll tell you. Because children
my daughter and I, we talk about boys all the time.
It's not even about boys.
No, I'm just saying. I don't know if you could talk to your mom about boys.
I can talk to my mother about nothing. I remember I wanted to know what an orgasm was.
It was the same.
I looked it up in a dictionary.
You know, they just tell you like, you know, you have sex and you're gonna die, really. So that they just scared the hell out of you, and they didn't really want to have conversation about. And then I guess too it was the whole Christian thing, and you're gonna keep yourself for your husband, and da-da-da. So they didn't want to hear anything at all. But I sit down, I lie down on my bed. My daughter and I have very, very comfortable conversations about boys,
anything,
and so forth. So
nothing is off limits with me. Nothing.
She knows she's not allowed to have a boyfriend, but she can talk about them. She can
know,
talk about having a crush.
Do you know what I tell mothers?
Who has a crush on her, but she knows she's not allowed to have a boyfriend.
You know what I tell mothers who complain to me that, Cindy talking about she liked this boy. Do you know what I tell mothers? Well, that's normal. She's a girl. She's supposed to like boys. Would you rather she like girls? That's what I say.
Yeah.
It's like we want.
So the culture shift starts with us.
It does. We have to break. Some of what our parents did was good. A lot of it was not, in my opinion. A lot of it was not. A lot of our generation, thankfully, we're healing. But our parents and like the older ones feel like there's nothing for us to heal from. Well, that's because you didn't heal. You didn't identify what was keeping you from your destiny.
I don't think I have anything to heal from my mother.
Oh, we do. That's
no, I said
beautiful.
I don't think I have anything to heal from.
Perhaps you have something to heal from your father.
Not really.
While I had a beautiful relationship with my dad, the relationship that I had with my dad was not while it was very, very loving, it wasn't paternal. It wasn't nurturing. It wasn't nurturing.
Yeah.
I think the first time my dad told me that he loved me, he was 70. I think it was his 70th birthday. But I used to tell people he didn't have to tell me. I knew he did. And then he
Yeah.
was a type that he was just he provided.
Yeah.
The things were taken
We see,
care
I
of.
didn't, and I know like a lot of people experience that, but I say that I didn't experience that. My mom had a lot of "I love you" to say. She was always touching your face and feeling
Cindy,
you
all
up.
I'm hearing from you is my
And-
mom, my mom, my mom, my
No,
mom.
hold on. Let me
Okay.
finish. Let me finish. Right? She caress you. My dad always he won't say I love you, but he'd hug you. He'd do
Was he in
all
the
those.
home?
Huh?
Was he in the home?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I came up with my mom and my
I don't
dad.
know these things.
Yeah, so he was always like that, and he'd say very affectionate things. And two, that went back to his culture too, because he's French, and they push out a lot of
Oh, Father.
love. And my dad calls me Sandy, and that's because he's French, right? So he doesn't say Cindy, he can't. He says Sandy, but outside of Sandy, which he uses very rarely, the most he says the most to me, oh hello pretty. That's how he addresses me all the time. So when I say I don't have anything, I feel like I don't really have anything to heal from my parents. I think they did a great job, and I think they were a lot different than what we were experiencing in terms of parents at that time.
that's
But they were
beautiful.
very strict. Like we couldn't go anywhere without my mother. Period. And anybody that grew up with us will tell you, like, if we went to crusades and church and anywhere camping, you just hear, like, my mom would get on the bus and we'd be sitting right there and she has to call all of our names to make sure we're on the bus. It was just,
See, for
no,
me-
I had to hear from something that was
was
that, but it
about to
didn't
say,
really
for
bother
me,
me that much because she
I need
wanted
to hear
to
from
make
that.
sure that we were safe and good. And when you grow up, you think, like, children could get in a lot of problems. Children could disappear easily, get in danger. So I understood. But I also felt like she can't go home and tell my father nothing about his 4 little children. She had to take them home, right? But I think if I had to say what, and this wasn't even really what the show was supposed to be, but if I had to say one thing about my dad, and I shared this with my siblings too, I think he raised us selfishly. And he was very much like, that's Charmin's, so you shouldn't touch it. And maybe he was trying to teach us how to have boundaries. But I also think that he maybe created a
more so
bunch
hearing
of
self-control.
selfish, little beings. I don't think I'm selfish, but he created some selfish beings, and so and that's the one thing I shift in terms of how I deal with my children. And how they have to be there for each other, care for each other, not to your detriment, because you don't have to do that either. But I think I grew up in a lot of love with my parents.
That's one thing that I tell, specifically, I normally deal with young girls. It's rare that I deal with young boys. I can't really relate to them. I mean, once they get a certain age, then I'll talk to them about certain things from a female's perspective. But that's one thing that I always tell young girls. You see how you built upon? I know my husband built upon the foundation that his father set. I
Right.
built upon the foundation that my parents set for me. What I think didn't work for me, I kind of threw it away. That ain't gonna work. I'm not gonna do that.
Right.
This piece right here, I am. One of the things that I tell young girls is, look at your mom, and typically they're all from single parents. Look at your mom. Is it easy? Is this? Is that? Is this? Do you want to repeat this?
Right.
That's what I want you to think about.
Yeah. Breaking
And-
those
and when-
generational curses.
I even
I
told-
call them curses.
I even told this one young lady, I told her something deep from me, something that I wanted to do, and the thought process that I went to, and it was like, never mind. And the point that I was trying to make with her is, if any path you go down, you don't like the consequences, if you can't deal with that, don't do it. But I need for you to think about these things and consider everything that could happen if you decide to do this.
Right.
And then make your decision.
Yeah.
If you can live with it, I can live with it.
Yeah.
But I want you to know, especially when you're younger, like with my children, if it falls back on me, you can't live with it, boo.
Yeah.
I gotta live with it.
I guess open dialogue with children is very important,
Oh,
especially this day, and not the, I said don't do it because I said so.
'Cause I
Don't
said
do it
so.
because I said so.
That just didn't work with
and,
me.
And that also kind of stifles
Or the Bible
children's-
says.
Yeah, and that also kind of stifles children's growth. I think in their ability to think
Yep.
on their own or critically and so forth. That was a great conversation. It went a lot of ways, and I kind of like it. And you know me, I kind of like get into a little bit of politics. I had a bit of politics
Sure,
here.
let's go
We
there.
can do some politics.
Let's talk about
Or-
boycotts and marching and I just
I
happened
was
to
trying to
catch your
behave.
show today.
I was trying to behave. So we're going from day to night. Okay, so maybe we might just be able to cover maybe one of these. Maybe it might jump into, because I really want to talk about the one that's really sitting on
What's
your
that?
heart.
On my heart, I have something on my heart.
Yes, you came in here with it, an experience that
No,
you
let's
had.
not. Let's not talk about that.
We're not going to talk about that tonight. Okay.
Let's talk about.
It could take an hour. So let's
talk
talk
about
about
Santo.
about what?
Santo and the teachers' protest.
Well, this is about, then we can,
Okay.
So one of our biggest conversations right now is the music festival and the cost of it, whether it should happen, whether we should have to, the government should continue with theirs. And it's not that we don't want to have a music festival. We would love to see the music festival come back. Should it be that government, use the people's money to do so, and so forth. So we've been talking about it for a few weeks, and one of my solutions is that people boycott the event, because there's so many things going on in the BVI that we can put $1 million to. And people keep hearing me say $1 million because that's what it's going to be.
Yes.
It's going to, and it's probably going to go
Over
beyond
$1
that,
million.
right?
If you
So-
budgeted 7 something, yeah.
it's going to be. So you already, there are things that we talk about every single day that peeve us and hurt us as a people, whether it's the lack of money to develop agriculture, not even a plan, the farmers getting water to the farmers, the fisher folk, we don't have the abattoir, it's down, it needs money to fix it, the fishing complex, that hampers the guys from going out, the number of fish they're able to bring in and really benefit from that, from doing that, the sewage in our streets, lack of water, bad roads, infrastructure falling.
$700 bill I just got today to get my vehicle. Yes, girl.
Oh, I thought you meant electricity. I almost
girl, no.
fainted.
No, for my
Right,
vehicle.
yeah.
And that was after the other $600 and something that
Yeah.
I spent like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, so you're fixing your vehicle in the garage, you're fixing your body with the chiropractor. Like, it's a lot. And then the school, the hospital, can have AC for weeks, unpaid bills, and so forth, we're understanding. And so my thing is, equate that to the $1 million and boycott the event. I use the word boycott.
I don't
know.
have a
And
problem with the word
And
boycott.
some people are like, oh, it's a bit heavy, but I don't think so.
It's not a heavy word,
Right.
it's just the word.
Yeah, and for me, I think this is one of the easiest forms of saying to government, Q, by not showing up. There's no way the premier can look through the crowd and determine who is or isn't there. And even if he could, who cares, right? So while I was driving here, someone sent me a picture, because this has been the conversation for the whole week. Boycott, whether to boycott, whether the word is too strong, when are we gonna stand up? Are we gonna keep talking, and there's never any action? Why are we so afraid to take action? And so while I was driving here, he sent me an image of a protest that teachers in Santo Domingo had
Beautiful.
today. And thousands of them were in the street.
Beautiful.
Okay? And, the article is saying some of them drove for 4 hours just to get to the point to protest, because whatever they were protesting about was dear to them. And, it felt so awesome to see that. Because I keep saying to our people, you gotta stand up for something. And they love it when, you know, the next person come on and say, oh, other people ain't going to do that. Like defeating the purpose before, defeating the thing before it can even, you know, take off. And I feel like sometimes these people are planted to do that. You know, you create that doubt real quick in the person's mind. So if they were thinking about, boy, I think I could do this, you know, and he says that, and then you're like, yeah, let me rethink this, right?
I wouldn't call them plants, Cindy, because I can tell you from experience, before I got my belonger status, I remember telling a group of people who, in essence, turned on me because I am the type that we're going to take industrial action.
Yeah.
And I kind of just was like, well, this is your country. I'm done.
Yeah.
Because when it fell apart, you know, I wasn't even taking industrial action. I was telling them the rules. Mm-hmm. Because I'm an avid reader of local laws, local policies, just whatever's going on, whatever affects me, I read it. Mm-hmm. And I was telling them the rules of what they can and cannot do. And it all boiled down that they were like, Kiaya planned this. And Cindy, that hurt me. Because number one, you won't give me my belonger status. You won't give me my belonger status. I have met the criteria. I have no status here, but here I am defending you. And you, meaning a group of locals, decided that it's Kiaya.
Yeah.
And Cindy, I could tell you, I was like, and I literally said, and I told them, this is your country. I'm not fighting for y'all again. Because that hurt me. Because I am the type, I mean, I tell you all the time, I'm no Martin Luther King. Give me Malcolm X.
Yeah.
I'm not Martin Luther King. I'm not marching.
Yeah.
I don't believe in that. It's too hot for that anyway. I'm not doing that. And I always tell you, if anybody understood the history of the marches were not the turning point. The turning point happened in the background, long before they marched, maybe a week or two before they marched, and then they marched. But whatever was going to happen already happened. Mm-hmm. But it was radical changes that affected it, not the march. It already happened days before the march. So when and how I got like this is I read the biography of Malcolm X. Mm-hmm. And I began to say, I'm more like Malcolm X. I'm not marching. So I know firsthand, and I have seen people come together and it's like, yes, we're going to do this. We're going to stick together. And when it's time, remember you called me strong earlier. And you said a lot of people are not as strong as I am. When it's time, yeah, the weakness came out at that point. When it was time to be strong, the strength left their body. And they didn't stay together. And I don't mean 50%. I mean like 70% fell to the wayside, which again defeats your purpose. You know, I used to run the Chamber of Commerce, even, you know, to band businesses together. Where a lot of people, you mentioned that it's not like the premier gonna be like, oh, Cindy's not there.
Yeah. Kiaya's
not there.
Yeah.
So and so's not. A lot of people are just, I really don't know what it is. Somebody said something about Toktola today.
Toktola, yes.
I forgot what they were saying.
Yeah,
and I was like, well, maybe it's just that people are going to tell whomever.
But who are you going to tell?
Well, first of all.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is one of the easiest FUs to the government. One of the easiest.
First of all, Cindy.
The event comes. One, you can start by not buying any tickets when they go on sale. Okay, this protest can just lead up. And I mean, we've been talking about it 4 times anyway. Now, for me, the solution is don't show up. Don't show up, right? And it's the easiest form of standing up for yourself. Can you imagine this event comes off and there's nobody there? And while you want to support the local acts, and I'm also going to tell the local acts, I'm disappointed that some of them are showing up and doing this despite how they know the country feels about it. Right? So is it about your dollar?
You could say
enough people are talking about
you
it.
have spoken to.
No. There are those who I haven't even spoken to that have their feelings and opinions. Okay? So even them, I would encourage, like, not to, but that's their decision to make. Maybe they got their money to make. Do that. But this is one of the easiest forms of protesting for people that are afraid to be seen protesting. This one says, just stay home. You don't even gotta show up.
I can't say why they won't. It could be for selfish reasons. I want a party. It could be, I can't think of any reasons.
Yeah.
I can't think of any reasons, but I can tell you that when it's time for a people to band together, oftentimes the people do not band together.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, radical has really become a politicized word. Without it having to do anything with politics, I'm a very radical person. Like when I make a decision to do something, that's just what I'm doing. My brain is beautiful. When it has decided something, that is what it has decided. And when it has decided against something, that is what it has decided against. And it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't waver. A lot of people aren't like that. A lot of people aren't sure of who they are. And because they aren't sure of who they are, they become whomever you want them to be. And I could tell you that I find that to be really, really troubling. But I'm also a very moral person. And when I see something wrong, it really bothers me, Cindy. It bothers me to my core. But I'm not planted, Cindy, okay? I can speak from experience that when it's time to move, a lot of people do not.
Yeah.
They cow out.
Yeah.
And
well, I'm encouraging them to cow out.
they cow out of not cowing out.
Yeah.
Let's just say
yeah.
that.
Oh, wow. I'm telling everybody to cow out. Stay home. Do not come out and show your face.
It's just that when it really, really matters, a lot of people don't show up.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, Kiaya, everybody, no matter who the activist is, no matter who the fighter is, there's an endpoint for everybody. You see what I mean?
And they have to decide when that endpoint. Too many things have just become normal. I just mentioned that about what $1,300 has been spent on my vehicle because I need all kind of new things around the. I know what a bushing is. I know what a stabilizer arm is. You know, that's just the last thing I bought because they bought the wrong thing and had to send it back and get something else. I didn't know what those things were before. But we should not normalize poor roads. I think it's very low-minded that every time we travel, the first thing we think about is how nice the roads are. I think that's very low-minded.
How clean?
How clean it is. But if you think about it, though, the first thing you think about, these roads are nice. Oh, it's just a smooth ride. We were in Grenada, and Grenada is, very different than here, you know? My little girl said, "Mommy, why are all the people here poor?" And I had to explain to her, they're not poor. And she says, "Really? It looks poor." And I said, "Girl, I bet you anything they can eat." She says, "How?" I said, "When we were at Auntie's yard, what's in her yard?" And she starts naming. I said, "That's why they grow whatever it is that they need to grow." But with their lower GDP than ours, the roads are nice. It's plush, it's green. For the most part, it's clean.
Yeah.
The roads are nice. And I remember looking at the roads and thinking, this can't be the thing that I'm just in awe about in a country every single time. That tells me that I'm either hypersensitive or desensitized of our roads here. I know I'm annoyed of the roads here. Again, that's a basic something basic. I heard you say on the radio today, and I hadn't heard that people have 30 minutes to take a bath.
Yeah.
Well, I remember telling
to do anything.
I remember
30
telling
minutes of
somebody
water in Seacoast Bay.
that when you live in Cane Garden Bay, you don't get government water. We don't have government water. It's been approved. I have an approved application, but I don't have government water. So I guess it's while it's kind of like, I know like my sister, when I tell her things like that, her first response is, I can't live there.
Yeah.
And she's like, basic things are missing.
Yeah.
And I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
And she asked me, why is that okay? I was like, girl, I don't know.
Yeah. And this is my point, right? This is my point when people, you know, when you have this opportunity to sit out and tell government, like, we're done with this, right? The easiest thing, not show up to something. And the fact that people can go to an event and understand you're gonna probably get home and can't bathe, or the next day you're gonna be complaining about your water is off from maybe 4 in the afternoon till maybe doesn't come back on for a week, and you go to the concert and you enjoy that, and then for me something in the brain is off.
Let me tell you
It's
a story.
a little,
I don't know how it was in the Caribbean, but in the South during the slave time, or even after the slave period and during the industrial servitude period, do you know that the masters would throw these parties where they would give the slaves the worst of the worst? That's why we eat, I don't eat any of this, all that stuff.
tripe.
All that's what we don't call it tripe. It's chitlins. I don't eat that.
I think isn't chitlings and tripe different?
Yeah, no, they're not the same thing.
I have no idea. I don't eat either.
It's always the
I'm
worst.
very funny. I'm full food.
I don't eat it either. It stinks. But they would give them the worst of the worst,
Yeah.
and throw them a party.
Yeah.
Cindy, when I tell you that there are a lot of parallelism that I see, because remember, y'all were free and they left y'all alone in the Caribbean.
Yeah, we
islands.
but this is one of my
Hold on,
major
hold on, hold on.
problems with this whole
But
equation.
remember, in the southern part of, in the Confederate States, because y'all keep calling me a Yankee and I'm from the South, in the Confederate States, we cannot be Yankees. They didn't
we
leave.
just say it based on how you
They
speak.
didn't. Irrelevant. Not a Yankee. They didn't leave the black or the African or the slaves, the black people alone. They didn't leave them alone. I was recently telling somebody civil rights just happened, you know, in my mother's lifetime. My mom is in her 60s. Civil rights just happened. To me, I feel like I can look back and see when it happened.
Right.
So parties have been thrown to make you feel like things are well for a very long time.
The Romans did it, yes.
So it's not a new concept, Cindy.
No, it's not. But in 2024, we're a little brighter. We have a little more exposure. We're still stupid.
Cindy, in 400 years ago, we were still the level of brightness that we are today. Just things are more available today. But if you look at it apples to apples, the same level of brightness then is the same level of brightness now. And there are so many people like you who are like, yeah, why are we partying? You do know that tomorrow we got to go work our backs off. And if I look at the Mrs. Wrong, they're going to whip me. You do know that if I'm hungry and I steal a crumb off the table, they're going to cut my hands off. You do know that we're still going to be mistreated tomorrow. You do know that you're not going to have water. I heard you mention paying for Emancipation Festival and then going to social development because you don't have food. You do know that you're still not going to be able to eat tomorrow. Yeah. There were always people, Cindy, who would say, you do know that you're still going to have holes in your roads. You do know that your electricity bill is going to I don't know what the electricity bill is. My husband pays it, but I don't even look at it because it used to stress me. Yeah. It used to stress me. So I don't even look at it. I know I came home today from picking up the kids from school, the children from school, and doing some other errands in town, and power was off, the generator was on. You do know that you're never going to get water to Cane Garden Bay. You do know that you're always going to have to use their cistern, and if we don't get rain, you have to pay for a water truck tomorrow after this party is done. Cindy, this isn't new. I don't know why our people wear blinders, but I know for me, as for me in my house, I take the blinders off. I don't hide, I don't sugarcoat, and I don't pretend.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it ain't right, it ain't right, and I'm not going to pretend like it is.
Yeah.
And so that in hopes that your children will be some of the, quote, woke people, awakened people.
Well, I mean, just yesterday, I said to someone, and my son was standing right there, like, even the last protest that I did down by the House of Assembly with the greedy bill, I pulled my children out of school. And I took them with me because I need them to understand what that type of civic action means.
We're going to have a party, but you know they're still going to get their retirement.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I even those types of things, I involve my children. So yeah, taking the blinders off. I mean, we're gonna close on this, but I'm gonna keep pushing this thing. And I could easily say right now the same way Kishma and I kept talking about the greedy bill, and people were upset with us. They called us all kind of names. We were up on the truck, but we understood what the greedy bill was and what it meant and the ramifications of it. And then people jumped on board after, and we had some changes to it. We didn't get all that we needed to get, but it's the same thing. And I'm saying, like, this is one of your easiest forms of standing up. Stay in your bed and sleep.
Well, let me tell you, like I tell the young people, when their frontal lobe develops, it will make sense.
Girl, I know about that for this. I think some of us are in the space where they can't develop again, but I don't know.
Well, the last thing that I want to say before we close off is, again, historically, this is how our people have been. Let's just party and pretend like everything is great. And I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
They keep throwing us parties, and we keep thinking everything is great.
Yeah. You know, I wonder at this point, because, you know, I'm also a Pickering, and we're going to close up. I'm a Pickering. Also Longloop. I'm also an Anthony, but I'm going to take the Pickering side in terms of, you know, being the first set of free slaves, your ancestors in the Western Hemisphere up there. Sometimes I wonder if my mostly radical side, I'm going to call it radical because I don't have a problem with it, comes from my French side. Because, you know, the French are going to take to the street and they'll stay there all day, all night, until they get whatever they need to get rectified.
Or,
like, they take to the streets. They take any form of action that they need to. And, you know, for example, and, you know, we're gonna close now. For example, you know, you get people saying, oh, but the government would spend the money and it'll be a loss anyway. What is the loss that we're measuring? What is the real loss? Is it the dollar, or is it us finding ourselves and standing up for ourselves and releasing
I think that's the bigger loss.
that and removing those, and to me, that's the loss that you like let slip through the cracks towards, or with an easy fix that you could have done in terms of stay in your bed.
To me, that's the bigger loss.
That's the loss that I keep trying to help people to measure. Like, that's the real loss. So, on that, thank you for coming in and having a chitty chatty with me.
I do want to say that I thought she was going. I don't know which camera we're looking at.
Anyone, you can.
I thought she was going to introduce me as her co-host, and I was all prepared to blush, but she didn't. I'm just Kiaya.
Well, yeah. Well,
I'm just Kiaya.
In her first interview at the start of the season, she said she was just Kiaya. So I introduced her as my friend and colleague, Kiaya. But she knows that I love her unendingly. And I want to thank her she is my co-host. So when I have an open space or cancellation, I am going to call her.
And I am going to say stuff that I probably shouldn't say on camera.
And that is
but it's
fine.
Facebook, not the radio.
Exactly, and that is fine. So thank you guys for tuning in. I am going to be back next Tuesday at 8. Our guest is going to be the Honorable Stacey Mata. I'm excited to sit down with him. I got a lot of questions for him, and I know he says to me, well, you know, I have my own questions. So I think it's going to be a good sit down. We have him next week, Tuesday. I want to wish you a great week. What's wrong with my nose?
Nothing, my nose is itching.
I want to wish you a great week, and I'll see you next Tuesday for Kadi. But of course, I'll see you tomorrow morning on the Morning Ride Show with A Side of Politics. Thank you, Kiaya. Of course, I always want to say thank you to my camera guy, Blake.
Blake.
Let's go home.
Alrighty, we're out.
Bye.